Hello, listeners. It is the Christmas season, so we're here today to give you some much-needed advice for Commander. It's been a while, but you will remember I'm Elijah Samuelson.
And I'm Spencer Cook.
And this is the EDHTakes podcast where we admonish people for trying to have fun wrong.
Especially during the holiday season.
Yeah, because there's just there's a lot of bad times to be had in Commander, and it makes me distraught. It makes me sad, and I would like to make that not the case anymore. And it's been weighing on me for a while. This topic we've been mulling it around all year, pretty much. I think.
Yeah, we all wish we could go back to the simpler times when we were young and we had fun playing Commander, no matter what happened. But, unfortunately time passes in a linear fashion and...
Oh man, you roll up in, 2013? I think I had the monocolor, Planeswalker decks. What year was that? But
2014, I believe, were those ones, yeah.
Just pull those out, you play a game. It's fun.
Yeah, you have a good time.
It's over 7 turns long. Nothing that terrible happens to you.
Yeah, maybe you draw a couple cards, play a couple spells, and have a good time.
Back in those days, I think the worst thing that ever happened to me, the worst I ever felt in a game of Commander was I asked somebody, you're not going to attack me, right? And they're like, no, I'm not going to attack you. And then the next turn, they attacked me with Nicol Bolas and made me discard my hand, I think.
It's like, oh, yeah. Dang.
Or it was like Croesus the Purger, and I was playing a monocolor deck or something like that. I was playing Scion of the Ur-Dragon and turned it into a thing that made me lose my hand. And then I was like, oh, I hate this game. And I hate you. Yeah, so our topic today, like I was saying, we've been thinking about this one. I've been telling people all year that we've been working on this topic about how I feel like people aren't building decks for a very good experience. And what I mean by that is there are certain types of commanders or strategies that I think I watch people in the game just having the worst time if they don't win within the first 6 turns of the game. Mm-hmm. They're just having it just seems like they are having such a bad time.
Yeah.
And this isn't I'm not mad at these people. It might come across that way. I genuinely I look over and see them after they've been stopped a single time and they're just doing nothing, and I'm like, huh, man, this is bad for you.
Well, and it's not even the problem is, like you were saying, Eli, it's like a specific type of commander or a specific type of strategy or a specific type of deck, right? That tends to lean itself into this kind of, I don't want to say glass cannon. Obviously that is some of the, that is what it is.
I think that covers most of these decks.
But it's not all encompassing. The general idea is just these types of decks where you are playing it are going to have a bad time in some sense because of the necessary repercussions of your actions, essentially.
I think we could break it into almost 2 categories, mm-hmm. because glass cannon I think covers most of these types of decks, but there's also another type of deck or type of player that fits into this where it's not glass cannon. It can be an extremely resilient deck, but it's something along the lines of, if you do not focus everything on killing me or taking me out of this game, you are definitely going to lose. If you do not literally 3v1 me,
yeah,
you are all just going to lose every time because I'm doing something so obscenely overpowered compared to the rest of the table.
And it's very unfortunate because there are some people that have a good time in that archenemy situation, but I think most people generally don't feel good when that happens to them. Or at least the people that tend to build those kinds of decks, I feel, don't tend to have fun.
Yeah, and I think another thing I wanted to talk about on this episode was, I think this is a problem. I feel like it affects new players a bit more than more veteran players, because when you're new, you don't really understand how certain things are going to roll out in reality. You might goldfish, you might have an idea for a deck, but you haven't had the experience of playing it to be oh, this is how this works in reality.
Whereas if you're a more seasoned player, you should kind of be expecting to kind of take your lumps when you are, you kind of know what you're doing, you know what you're getting in for. Whereas a new player might run into these situations that we're going to talk about in this podcast without kind of expecting it, and then they're just going to have a bad time, and maybe ultimately, quit playing or get mad at other players or blame it on other things, or even just feel insecure in some way about their own play or something like that, and just one of many consequences that can come from this kind of this problem. So I don't know. Do you want to start talking about the first little part of that you were saying, the glass cannon section first?
Do you think that new players are just attracted to more powerful commanders or more powerful cards and strategies?
Yeah, and I do think that, and I also think that. So, I've seen a lot of new players play cards, cards that will they'll be like, oh my god, I can spend 3 cards to get my commander out a couple turns early, and they'll use their resources in some way to try to do something crazy really fast, and then if it gets stopped one time, it's like they have nothing left. Like maybe they played like a land that sacrifices itself to add 2 mana, like a Crystal Vein or whatever, or like a ritual effect or something, not to combo off, but just to play their commander. That's going to be good next turn, and I feel like new players in general are kind of they're kind of susceptible to running out of steam, getting board wiped and maybe not having anything to rebuild with, or like you were saying, Eli, talking about just the commanders, you build all in on a theme with your commander, and then your commander dies, and then the rest of your cards don't really do anything.
Yeah, and I think this really is something that must come along from just your experience being gold fishing, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't really account for interaction in that environment.
Yeah, I know sometimes when people goldfish, they'll be like, oh, okay, I'm just going to assume something dies here, or maybe a board wipe or something, but it's not really, it doesn't really work. I don't know, you're like, oh yeah, this turn I'm going to not play something and play my removal spell, but it's not.
That's probably a responsible way to do it, but personally, I don't do
goldfish.
Gold
no one
fishing,
does that.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a hard thing to because you can never know how it's going to roll out, and it's so rare nowadays. Maybe it just depends on the people we play with, but I feel like I can't play a game of Commander without at least, which is probably a good thing, but without at least 3 or 4 things being single target removed or 1 or 2 board wipes.
Yeah, but one thing that I really do not enjoy, or not that I don't enjoy it, but I see other players and I think they're going to have a bad time. Like you were saying, Eli, earlier about new players, is when a new player comes up and they have these glass cannon commanders, and the things that come to my mind are cards that will combo off if left unchecked. Something like Narset, the 6 mana one that's often extra turns. Something like Krenko, Mob Boss, where every turn you're gonna tap it and make 1,000,000 goblins, and you're probably gonna combo off with a Thornbite Staff or something else. Cards like this, which kind of are half of a combo piece, or will just go crazy almost immediately.
Yeah, like Zeta, Hedron Grinder.
Yeah, that's
half your cards don't do anything if you don't have
the
Zeta, or Feather, you're just playing all this stuff that
a bunch of pump spells or something. Or I guess Feather kind of bridges that gap between a combo deck and a Voltron, because Voltron I think can kind of come into this a lot of times. People will just play a commander and then start slapping a bunch of they'll play half their cards are equipments or auras, and it's you kill the commander and now they have 5 permanents in play but none of them do anything. Or
if their plan was auras or pump spells, they've gone in on I hit 1 person for 10 commander damage. It gets removed, and now I don't have mana to cast my commander again.
you hit 1 person for 10 commander damage, and now they're well, I kill your guy, otherwise I'm going to die, so I kill your guy, and then they're okay, now I'm not impacting
so they
anything.
Can't allow that to ever happen again, right? Otherwise they're going to lose. So So what are you left to do if you're playing the Voltron deck? It's not that these things, some of these things like Voltron aren't necessarily the most obscene, crazy powerful nothing close to like combo decks or like strong combo decks or like EDH decks or something, but it's just like, what do you expect to happen in the game? Like, I think Infect kind of fits into this a little bit too.
Yeah, like you were saying, Eli, like that experience of, you know, how threatened are your opponents going to be by what you're doing, right? Like, if you have an Infect creature and, you know, you're playing a deck with a bunch of pump spells, like maybe they just have to kill your little Infect creature or whatever, right? Like the what is it, the command zone, the Craig kind of thing, or and they're like, oh yeah, we just know you got to always block the thing on turn 3 or whatever. Yeah. It's like, you know, kill the thing, have removal up. But I think, Eli, you mentioned Infect. I actually think that the kind of recent wave of Infect, which was so they made a couple commanders.
The toxic, the Ixhel Scion of Atraxa.
I think
is
that
actually like it's so bizarre that they managed to make an Infect commander that doesn't incentivize you to like one shot kill your opponents.
I think that's an example an example of Wizards designing for the experience. You know, it makes it kind of implies a good experience. Your opponents are incentivized like not to necessarily kill you in the sense or kill your commander because, you know, you as the player aren't incentivized to kill them right away at least, or like you want to spread out the Infect. So
yeah, because not only does it it rewards you more for like spreading out your poison, but it also like it gives you cards from the people who like you're infecting. So you're stealing cards, and that in itself, I'm going to talk more about that later in this, but it disincentivizes you from killing that player.
Yeah, like if you
have their permanents.
If you play their permanents, then if you kill them, they disappear. So,
but I wonder, part of the issue, like with the new players, I worry about them getting upset when things don't go their ways, or like losing like a disproportionate amount of games. You know, like you should be winning about a quarter of your games, but I wonder if new players. It's hard to feel like that's enough for a new player.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if they might sometimes want to like build something like a bit more powerful to like bring that up a little bit, but then it has like this opposite effect. Like they build a deck like this, like Krenko or like Narset or something, where like or like Zeta or Feather. Decks that like when they win very fast. Like they win hard, right? Yeah. Like it's not usually very close if you don't have like that timely removal or board wipe. Mm-hmm. Like the game is over pretty fast.
They snowball out of control like very quickly, or they combo win pretty quickly as well. Yeah, like when that happens, you know, I feel like, you know, maybe they can get like their one win at the start of a table, and then if as they play 2 or 3 more games, people are obviously going to like try their hardest not to let that happen because they know what's going to happen, and then the person playing that deck might have a bad time. They might even spiral into making a more powerful deck because they think their deck just can't handle like being at that table, and it's just kind of a bad cycle, I think.
Right. I mean, we've talked about this before. We're learning creatures, right? So if you've seen the Narset deck, or if you've seen a Krenko deck, or if you've seen like Elf Ball or something, or the first Sliver, there's certain decks, strategies, or commanders that like you know exactly what's going to happen. Like unless somebody tells you like, oh no, like it's this weird like very oddly specific thing, and if they ever tell you like, no, it's not like that version of the deck, like I don't know, that doesn't mean a whole lot. Like, I think I've heard like other podcasts talk about this, like EDHTakes, like Dana Roach, like being like, oh, people always being like, oh, it's not that, like insert X commander, and he's like, well, it always is. But I don't want to say that people are like lying, but I just don't think I don't think that means that much.
Yeah, usually when people say like, oh, it's not like this deck, you know, and then you see them play like some powerful like it's not like an enchantress like deck, and they play like a Smothering Tithe, and it's like, it's not like it's crazy or anything, but like you're very clearly like playing good cards and like that synergize with your commander, and like it's gonna end up being, you know, just because you're not comboing off and winning doesn't mean that you making 20 mana on turn 5 is acceptable, right? Like it doesn't mean that like we can just let that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple of decks that I think are mostly pretty reasonable, fair decks, but then they have just like the commanders are fine. Like I have my Kresh the Bloodbraided deck. But then I have to tell people like, oh, it's got Bolas Citadel in it.
And I might just like, make 40 mana on this turn if I hit the right things.
Yeah, like I could play that on turn 4 and then like put out like 20 mana worth of permanents and
you know, mana doublers and all those things. Yeah,
and, like I still might not win the game, but like it's still that looks bad, right? Like
yeah, and it's like, okay, now I can't now in the next game it's like, okay, now nobody is going, you know, someone's going to counter your ramp spell or something because they think that you're going to go crazy, right?
Yeah, so I mean, if you're doing that sort of thing and like it's not your commander, that's the problem. It's just like a couple of key cards. Like I guess you just have to establish yourself as somebody like me, as a bit of a bozo, a bit of a fumbler, somebody capable of
not
producing 20 plus mana and not doing anything that significant. Like I'll play some creatures without haste and cross my fingers and hope for the best.
Yeah. I also want to say that I want to talk about the idea of like players like a lot of times build decks to quote unquote do their thing, you know? And one thing that people will sometimes get mad when they don't get to do their thing. Like sometimes people will say like, I don't care about winning, I just want my deck to do its thing, right? And that's, I guess, fine and good, but sometimes, you know, they'll be playing a deck where doing the thing is, you know, something like having a Reaper King and playing Scarecrows, right? Like, is that really a thing?
Yeah, I'm going to destroy all of my opponent's non-land and sometimes land permanents.
Like, is it wrong for your opponents to want to stop those kinds of things? So, it's really important if you're going to do the I want to do my thing conversation. You really have to have a very, like, toned down thing. Otherwise, people are going to be frustrated when you complain about not being able to do your thing. So, like, go ahead. Yeah, you want to say something?
My thing is that I play 2 cards and win the game.
Yeah.
My thing is that I attack you with my commander until you die.
Like, my thing is, like, I'm a landfall deck, and I want to be able to play multiple lands a turn while getting landfall triggers off of my 4 permanents. Like, no, I'm sorry. Like,
well, that doesn't seem too bad.
No, I know, yeah. but like, you understand that, like, that's not necessarily, like, something that is always going to be allowed. Like, if you're playing, you know, if you're, like, making a lot of creatures and buffing them up and they have haste and everything, right? And, like, you playing, you know, your 2 fetch lands a turn, getting 4 triggers and, like, having Scoot Swarm and everything out and you're killing everybody.
Yeah, I guess what you're saying, like, that's how people, like, might perceive it, but, like, actually the thing, like, they're saying, like, this is the actual, like, action I'm taking. Like, I'm just, like, getting landfall triggers or whatever. Like, I'm just, like, doing that very specific. But what they're actually doing is, like, no, I'm just making everyone die. Like, I'm just killing everyone.
I'm either, like, everyone's dying right now, or I'm making, like, 120 power worth of creatures, or I'm making 20 plus mana, you know, or whatever. And it's just the synergy. It's just what my deck's built to do. It's just, like, don't want me to play? Like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean I can't have my Lotus Cobra and my you know, triple fetch lands a turn? What do you mean that's not okay? I'm a landfall. But yeah. So what's the solution, do you think, Eli, to this kind of pitfall that we're talking about?
I just think it has to be like the goal. It has to be something very like, you have to, like, be able to get, like, one thing that, like, doesn't necessarily involve, like, taking somebody out of the game or, like, denying your opponent's, like, agency to do things, and then you do it, and you need to be, like, okay with that. Like, this is going to be an example of, like, kind of a bad building for the experience moment later, but, like, I have a fencing ace deck where I play every, like, 2-mana 1/1 with double strike. My only goal, the thing that I want to do is I want to play a fencing ace, and I want to put an equipment on it and hit somebody for, like, a medium to large amount of damage.
Yeah.
And then I'm good. Like, I can lose the game. It's fine. I can get stomped out of it. But if I got to do that, if I got to, like, make somebody, like, afraid for their life with a fencing ace, not necessarily, like, that they're going to, like, lose the game, but, like, I will attack you for, you play, like, Colossus Hammer.
I'll tag you for 20.
Yeah, like, I'll attack you for 22 damage.
Yeah.
Maybe they block it. That's fine. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Or, you know, what's the Eli? What's the Boros commander that lets you that gives your tokens double strike? And
Nyali.
Like I have a Nyali precon deck. You know, I like playing precon sometimes. When I play that deck, you know what my thing is? My thing is I just want to impulsive draw some cards and be able to play them. I just want to get some value off my commander, attack with a couple tokens at people, and get a couple cards to play and be able to, have my hand full playing lands off the top. That's kind of my thing when I play that deck, and I have a good time if I'm able to, just kind of like deploy cards,
Yeah, right. And I think also it's important to have a deck that can do a variety of things. Like I was saying with the Fencing Ace deck, mostly it is, I want to play Fencing Aces.
Right.
But it's also, I really enjoy playing Boros Equipment decks, because that was my original first Commander deck, and I have one on Magic Online that's a Kiri, the Fearless Voyager. So I like doing the equipment value package where you can play with Pure Steel Paladin, you just do a lot of fun stuff with equipment. There's a lot of cool things you can get, a Skull Clamp, get the Recruiter creatures, pull that out, pull out Stoneforge Mystic, just do a bunch of fun stuff with that. So that's my backup plan anytime I have any kind of equipment based or Voltron or the Fencing Ace deck, something like that.
Yeah, my thing, a good example is I have my Aurelia deck, which is on the stronger end of things. Obviously the thing could be attacking people for a ton of damage and alpha striking and going crazy with 2 combats, right? That could be one of the things. But another thing that I'm happy with if I've done is if I just play a creature that comes in and draws a card, and then I play an Ephemerate to trigger that twice with a Welcoming Vampire out, so I can end up doubling up on so I can draw a couple cards for just a cool piece of synergy that I'm damn, this is, even if I'm not winning, I'm doing kind of a synergy, a cute synergy piece that's not super offensive to everybody.
When I've played that deck, I feel the thing is being able to be super proactive, have a big board and also have a full hand.
I love
feels very nice.
What the thing is? The thing is having Plarg out and being I'm just gonna activate him for 5 mana and get a card.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
The Plarg ability, it feels like Thrasios to me.
Yeah, it's so fun.
You get it's not very cheap or anything, but it's good card advantage.
It's there, and it's there to be the thing. Yeah, but
I also think the thing, it's you could argue with the Aurelia or the Fencing Ace thing, this maybe not the best examples because it comes across very threatening, and it can seem like your thing is just making people die. But I would say don't have your thing be, okay, I did my thing, or I started to do my thing, now kill me, take me out of the game, or you will just lose.
Yeah.
That's not a very good position to put your opponents in.
There's a couple, what is it? Chulane or Hullen, if you prefer, Eli. I know apparently the little lore there is that's apparently the what is
if you ever
is
see
it Gaelic or something, or
yeah,
what?
it's supposed to be pronounced Hullen.
Yeah, but it'll always be Chulane to me. The Chulane deck doing its thing, I think, fits that criteria, Eli, where when the Chulane deck starts to do its thing or does its thing, it's kill me now or you all lose, right?
Yeah, also, sorry, I just need to say on the Chulane Holland thing, I don't ever want to dissuade a Magic player from pronouncing a card name the way that it's spelled.
Yeah.
Because that is a bit of an issue.
Oh, yes, it's got a silent Q in it. Don't pronounce the Q.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But the issue with I do my thing, or I'm gonna do my thing, if not, if you survive you have to kill me, or the game's just gonna be over.
I'm doing my thing, and now if I do it again, don't let me do it again.
I think that it's easy for your opponents to feel like they've been put in that position, even if you don't outwardly, you don't explicitly say that, you just oh, I do, I play a turn where I cascade into 50 mana worth of permanence, and then I pass my turn. It's and then you're just what? Why is everyone attacking me?
What's the deal? I'm just playing the game.
I think that player finds themselves often in archenemy situations where it's going to lead to the 3 players having to be okay, we just have to kill you now,
or we counter your commander or something, right? And it's and then they're I can't even play. I'm out. I can't play the game, I guess. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, and that player in the archenemy situation, I think they get frustrated.
Yeah,
and it's a frustrating position to be in. Everyone's been in that position. It's really hard to deal with. I think a common strategy of Commander, they've talked about this on the Command Zone in a few episodes recently, like this year, about how like the meta of Commander now is just be the second person to try to win.
Yeah.
Because the first person to do this stuff, they're going to get 3v1 and like everyone's going to spit out their removal and just like take them out of the game and like respond like way too disproportionately.
They'll overcorrect and yeah.
So I think that arch enemy player, like they come away from that situation of like them doing that stuff and they're like, okay, if everyone's going to 3v1 me, I just need to make my deck strong enough to actually beat 3 players. and I've been that person before, and that is really stupid and really toxic.
Yeah, it doesn't go well usually.
It's going to lead to a worse experience.
Yeah, so I know there's that, like, kind of on that same topic that you're talking about of you really, of being like the second player to try to win, right? A concept that's kind of as old as time in Commander is like, do not appear threatening, right? You want to appear low key to the table so people don't feel like they have to do anything about you, right? Or you can get political favor by being behind or whatever, stuff like that. And I think that in a sense, playing for the experience does kind of entail a little bit of that, and maybe does that imply trickery? Do you think, Eli? Do you think there's a little bit of trickery in there, or do you think it's mostly good nature? There's both. You can do either way, right?
As an aside, like a kind of an example, like on this topic.
Yeah, you're good.
My younger brother Sean, he has this Grixis Inala Wizards deck, and the thing that we do in that deck, the thing that we love more than anything, is the card Dire Fleet Ravager. This card, when it comes into play, each player loses a third of their life rounded up.
Yep.
And so we have this deck set up to make as many of those triggers as possible. And I think once you get to around 6, regardless of like life total, it gets everyone below 5 life at 6 triggers.
Yeah.
At 7 or 8, I think people just start dying because
the rounding
up. Yeah. Like once you get down to like 2 or 3, like
yeah, you're at 5, it start taking 2 and we're at 3, whatever. Yeah.
But he actually, I feel like, wins a lot of games. Like maybe more than 1/4, like in the amount of games we play.
Yeah.
And his strategy every time, because I built the deck originally to be like an aggro, like Wizards deck. I wanted it to like come out the gate and like be attacking people and stuff. But since like he's been playing it, like I see him doing this, like he just like doesn't commit anything to the board. He just plays mana rocks, he plays his lands, he plays like a couple of the enabler things like Naban, Dean of Iteration, like
or like a wizard that'll draw some cards or something.
Yeah, like the things he plays things that like stack up the triggers. Harmonic Prodigy.
Flame Shadow Conjuring? Is that what you're gonna say?
Not that one. It's the tribal one.
The wizard that one, yeah. That doesn't cost a mana.
You choose a creature type.
Yeah, okay.
But he just plays that stuff out, and then like every time he plays the Dire Fleet Ravager and kills everyone. And it just works like almost every time. And every time it happens, people are like, oh, this again, like, oh, you did this, like this is the only way like you win, like this is the only thing you do. It's like, and people aren't like mad about it or anything, but like it's like, yeah, he's done this every time. Like you've seen this coming every time. Like it's never changed. Like occasionally, like he'll like want to prove a point to people, and he'll like win
another way,
different way. Like, but
no, I don't need to do that.
Yeah, like, but it, because that's just, like you're saying, like it's something like it doesn't. He's not committing the board. He's being like sneaky, but he's like not being really sneaky, right? Like he's not trying to trick anybody.
Yeah.
And people know that it's going to happen.
And maybe the red flag should go up when they have like you were saying, like Naban or something in play, right? Maybe that is the scary card or whatever, right? But it's not. It feels like there's like a difference between something like that and these kind of like instant signpost gonna win the game, like 1-card cards that we're kind of talking about, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I guess if it's slower, if your whole deck doesn't, like, I know that's the way he wins, but his deck doesn't just revolve around doing that. Like it just plays cards, tries to draw some. It plays, I guess, like a combo deck would, right? Like you want to draw some cards. Right.
And here's the issue that we run into in Commander, and we've talked about this before. The real strategy in Commander is always just play a deck that doesn't commit to the board state, that wins like via combo or like coming completely out of nowhere and just like having this one massive turn where you like play Bolus to Citadel and like or like you cascade and like a million things. like from like having no board, so that when leading up to that point, every time you play that deck, people will be like, okay, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to attack you. I'm going to try and kill you. And then you get to be like, what the hell? I didn't do anything. What did I do to you? Look at the board state.
Oh
and
my god!
Just act like such a fucking bitch about
people
it.
People do that. Do you ever have those games where people will kind of make a big stink about like something targeting one of their things when they like quote unquote don't have much in play or something, but you just know that they're like very close to winning the game somehow? You're just like, I know you're like a couple mana or like a couple turns from winning the game just from like almost nowhere. And like, it feels like sometimes it can feel like I'm the only one who sees it, right? Like I know, I can tell, I know what's going to happen here. But yeah, I mean, if you're interested, we could talk there. We had our power level, what was the episode? We had an episode back earlier about how, I think it was our threat assessment episode, about how, you know, sometimes you need to threat assess, you know, stuff that's not directly on the board, you know, access to mana, cards in hand type of deck, right? And these are, you know, this is getting a little bit off topic, but, you know, it's kind of a, Commander's not simple. Like, we talk about the playing for the experience thing, but then if you take those things too far, you know, you can kind of get a little trick. It all comes down to, like, your intent as a player, right? Are you trying to, like, pull one over in a malicious way? Are you trying to pull one over in like more of a playful and everyone's on the same page way? I don't even know where I'm going with this, but
I think this kind of transitions us into our next little thing. I put a thing on our document just saying, let us discuss the Cascade Commanders. And I wanted to bring up a story that I think you should remember. It was a pretty iconic moment, I'd like to think. We played with this friend of ours who had a Yidris deck. And I was playing my, I think, Varina tokens deck. You were playing your the Naya Geared Conclave Exile.
Sure.
And we had our friend Jesse. I can't remember what he was playing, but this entire game, it was pretty early. It was really early into the game. I think it must have been like turn 4 or 5. And, you know, we had a few things out. You had like your Geared and like a Rhino. I think Jesse probably had some creatures. I think Jesse had maybe he hadn't done it yet, but at some point he played like a destroy target land thing on our other friend with the Yidris deck.
I think it was a destroy a land and then rampant growth as well. So there's like a 4 mana.
Okay, yeah.
Card, yeah.
Oh, Monvuli Acid Moss.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. See.
But there was a turn. I think I had my commander out, and I also had mana to play like one removal spell. And I was looking at the Idris, and I was like, and I'd seen Idris before, and I was like, well, that's terrible. That's going to do terrible things to all of us. That's going to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at my like Swords to Plowshares or whatever, and I was like, I turned to this friend, and I was like, man, I really feel like I should remove that. But I wanted to like be kind of, I wanted to, you know, like let him cook. Like, you know, I was like, I feel like this is going to be a really bad idea if I don't remove this, but I'm not going to. But I was also like, you know what? Let's meet this in the middle a bit. So I think there was another creature he had in play, and I used my removal spell on that instead.
Mm-hmm.
And then let him go to his turn and do the Idris thing. At which point, he took a very long turn and played probably 20 mana worth of spells with Cascade.
Yeah.
And got to the point, I think there was some thing that happened in that turn where he ended up saying, it was almost worse for me that you didn't remove the Idris because the other card that I ended up killing was somehow part of some combo or something.
Yeah.
And so he was upset about that. And it was just kind of funny. But it was like nobody was like mad yet or anything. Like, it was fine. Like, you know, like I was less cutthroat than I probably should have been. And then the next couple of turns, as it goes around, Jesse attacks him. You attack him for a bunch, and then I attack him and kill him, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so we killed him within the next turn, so that he couldn't just win the next turn.
Sure.
And he was very upset. If I'm getting any bit of that wrong, Spencer, that's how I
that sounds fair.
But yeah, that's one that sticks out to me with like the Cascade thing, like how that comes across to me, like how that feels.
It's the kind of deck, the kind of mechanic that often isn't very good for the experience, I would say, of yourself, because you're gonna do something crazy. People are gonna feel weird about like targeting. Like you just got hit with a land destruction spell, right? You should be kind of in check, but not really at all because of the kind of card that you're playing.
And you know the worst ones?
Yeah.
Emodian, the first sliver, the ones that themselves also have Cascade.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if you remove it. It's not that bad for them.
Why?
You have to remove them, right? Like, because otherwise everything else has Cascade.
Why did Wizards think that okay, let me rephrase. I understand it's fun to cascade into cascade into cascade into cascade into cascade into cascade into cascade, right? It's fun. But it's not fun. It's not a fair or like fun mechanic to play against. It doesn't feel good when the first sliver player plays his 4 mana sliver that cascades into his 3 mana sliver that cascades into his, I don't know, maybe he misses on 2 and gets his 1 mana sliver, right? Like, that's not, it's not very fun to just have cards that say, I play 1 card from my hand for a meager mana cost, and all of a sudden I have a giant board.
I think we've compared Simic commander decks before to like reverse stacks, where they're not making you take fewer actions in the game. They're just taking so many more themselves that like the amount of time your opponents are getting to spend in the game doing things is like proportionally like the same. If not actually like you're getting less like game time facing like that proactive deck than you would be like if you're dealing with a bunch of stacks pieces, I feel like.
The stacks deck makes it so the other 3 players take as many actions as the stacks player. The Simic deck makes it so the Simic player takes as many actions as the other 3 players.
Like combine, like more than them all combined.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like Stacks, the 3 players play 1 spell, the Stacks player plays 3 spells. Simic, the other 3 players play 3 spells, the Stacks player plays 9 spells.
Yeah, and that's what the Cascade decks are like. It's just stupid. Like, they had the new Eldrazi precon this year from the Commander Masters.
Zolodoc or whatever.
Yeah, the Void Gorger.
Yeah.
6 mana guy says your colorless spells that cost 7 or greater have Cascade.
It's probably one of the I'm gonna say it, Eli. I'm gonna say it. One of the worst designed cards of the year, in my opinion, because from a fun perspective. I understand it's fun to cascade, but I just don't think those mechanics lead to good games. And that was made for Commander.
Yeah, it's time consuming. It's really it's insanely powerful.
Yeah.
Like, would you ever have you ever made a Commander deck? Like, I feel like I would almost if there were more like better ones in just like mono red or like mono white. Like, there's not really like mono, like white doesn't get a lot of cascade.
A good example. There's in blue. There's the 6 mana flash creature.
Yeah, that one, the clone.
I love that
enters
card.
Like as a copy of something that entered that turn. Yeah, I love that card.
And it has Cascade.
So good.
So it's just these cards that have Cascade, but are otherwise also other cards that do things. They're quite powerful, I think. I mean, even if they don't even hit something that crazy, like they just are good value, right? Like,
yeah, I love to play those, but I would definitely play more in other decks. I just don't have a lot of decks that are like the colors of the good Cascade cards. Because Cascade's mostly in red, green, blue.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a bit much.
Yeah. I suppose they made Abaddon the Despoiler. That's a card that is, I mean, it's dumb in its own way. At least it says cards you cast from your hand, I believe, have Cascade.
Yeah, it's capped off a little bit.
A little bit, but it's still... the cards that say, like, spells you control or spells you cast from your hand have... Like, why do we think it, like I know we talk about Yidris, Eli, like, why do we think it's cool to just have, like, 4 spells that I cast this turn have Cascade? Like, why do we want to give Cascade to other things? Like, just make the card have... If you want to put Cascade in the game, just make...
Exactly. I think anything that gives Cascade to, like, something that's not supposed to have Cascade is just, like, stupid. But you can have, like... We really like despite, like, a few of its problems, the first Commander Legends set.
Yeah.
They had Cascade as a featured mechanic in that.
It was good.
But it's, like... One of your Cascade creatures is like a 6 mana 6/4 with haste.
Yeah.
And Cascade. Like, that's
yeah. Or there's the spell, there's the creature that says your commander has Cascade, right?
Yeah.
It could be kind of problematic, but in the most part, it's
tame.
Mostly tame, Like, what's the new mechanic, Eli, that just came out of the new set that was like I mean, it's like kind of Cascade. It's like until you hit like a
Discover.
It's kind of the same thing as Cascade, but it actually like in this it plays well in the same way that a card with one instance of Cascade plays well. It's like you just play your card and you get to get another kind of value thing, right?
Yeah, I wonder with Discover if that's gonna present any potential problems, because there's a few of the Discover cards from the new set, Lost Caverns of Ixalan.
They discover twice.
They'll say when it enters the battlefield if you cast it.
Yeah.
But then there's one of them. There's this 6-mana dinosaur that says just when it enters the battlefield, discover 5.
So you can blink it and stuff.
Yeah, so whereas Cascade, you can't really do that with a Cascade card because it's always if you cast it. So yeah, I wonder if there's going to be. I picked up a copy of that card. It's Trumpeting something.
What color is it?
Trumpeting Carnosaur. Yeah,
this one. Trumpeting Carnosaur. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool card. But yeah, interesting though to see that ability on with the potential to blink it.
Or make clones or whatever. Yeah.
Kind of worries me maybe.
Yeah, you could. What's the one of your favorite cards, Eli, that you play in a couple of your decks that I've seen is the one with Soulbound, or not Soulbound. I mean, that is one of them. But what's the one where it makes a copy of a creature at the beginning of combat for each thing each instant or sorcery you played or whatever? Oh,
that's an awesome. Honestly, I have that in one deck.
I was thinking of the Soulbound card that you also have in one deck that makes a copy of it.
It's Mirror something Phalanx.
It doesn't matter. The point is there's some good red cards that will make copies of things.
Yeah, you can make copies of it. I put it in my Bruce and Elena deck because it's a 6-mana.
It's 7-power
creature. You can discard it with its own ability and get it back with a Karmic Guide, or
I guess that's a kind of a way that I speak, where I called it one of your favorite cards when I really just meant a card that you played once.
It is very good. There's new Magic cards though. They can be insanely powerful, and I couldn't tell you what they're called.
That's true. You could name Shards of Mirrodin common. Whenever.
100%.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, I think that about does it for Cascade. Oh, one more Cascade thing, I guess, is that I forgot to mention there's one other way that Cascade's used besides all these cringe ways we've been saying. There's one other cringe way where it's Cascade into my spell that's not supposed to be able to be cast, like a Restore Balance or something. And it's that's all. I mean, whatever, it's cute, but it's not. It's kind of dumb.
Most of those are pretty tame.
Yeah,
I want to say.
But
there's a couple of things you could do.
But I don't know. It's Cascade, and I put a single 1-drop into my deck so that I can Cascade and tutor into the the thing that wins me the game or whatever. I guess it'd be a 2-drop usually, but you know what I mean. So It's kind of a not great experience usually, I would say. But take it with a grain of salt. I'm sure there are ways you could build that sort of thing where it's a decent experience. That's to say that about everything that we're talking about here. I'm sure there are ways you can do things that could make the experience better. Maybe not for maybe not for Chulane, but whatever.
Yeah, so we're just gonna go through a couple of other strategies or commanders that maybe lead to bad play experiences. We kind of talked about Infect already. I just want to say shout out to Finn the Fangbearer, the 2-mana green creature that gives your Death Touch creatures when they deal damage to somebody, they get 2 poison counters. I think that's terrible. I think that's a bad time commander.
From both perspectives, it's really fast and dumb, but also it's not very good.
I had the experience at the game store one time of we played a game. I was playing with 2 friends and a stranger, and the stranger in our first game, I think I won. I don't think I did anything that crazy or anything, but I just won. And I think kind of had the moment of being oh, I got to pull out my good deck now because I lost one of my games of Commander tonight, so I gotta win now.
Yeah.
And then pulled out Finn the Fangbearer, so I was okay, I see what's gonna happen. He's gonna try and kill me with Infect. And I played I think I played Dam on turn 4 and killed a couple of the Death Touch creatures.
2 Death Touch creatures and Finn or something.
And I had taken maybe 2 poison at this point.
Yeah.
And then he just didn't do anything for the rest of the game for a while.
Yeah. But it's oh, okay, that's what that kind of deck is gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen when you play that kind of a deck. Be a little bit more intelligent. Not to say, I don't mean intelligent. That's not how I want to say. Yeah, he didn't do anything
wrong. It seemed mostly he kind of got back into it towards the end of the game, but it was just I felt. See, I feel bad when I have to do that to somebody.
Yeah.
When you have to board wipe the Krenko deck, or when you have to kill the Finn the Fangbearer and leave them with a bunch of stupid Death Touch creatures.
I think a big part of this episode is actually us just being stop doing this so I don't have to feel bad for you.
Stop making me do this to you.
I don't want to have to lightning bolt the Krenko and before you untap, and then you're gonna untap and have a bad time because you missed your land drop or something.
Did
afterwards.
I even tell the Krankos?
No, you didn't tell the Krankos story.
Yeah, speaking of Krankos, I just want to get this story out there as like another experience of like some terrible time that I saw. There's this guy who plays at the game store, and he had built I think he was a new commander player. His first commander deck was Krenko, which I think is I can see the appeal, but like goblins, it's pretty simple, but also like it's got that reputation, right?
Yeah.
And then his other
snowballing too
is Light Paws, the Emperor's Voice, or the
aura,
like, the mono white like Voltron. So it's like two commanders that are like super glass cannon. Like either you kill somebody fast or you do nothing. And this guy played a game with my friend Jesse and I think my friends Kingsley and Lane. And he uses one of these. There's this old cycle of lands that you can tap and sacrifice to get 2 mana of the same color, or you can just tap it for like one of a color and they enter tapped. And so turn 3, he uses his land. He sacrifices the land to get 2 extra mana. Yeah, it's kind of like Crystal Vein. And he uses that to play Krenko. And then Jesse lightning bolts the Krenko.
And now he has 2 mana.
And now this sad dude is stuck there with 2 lands and nothing to do.
And a commander that costs 6.
Yeah.
No?
And I'm like, geez, was it worth it?
Geez, yeah. Dang. You tried. But yeah, don't try to do that. If you try to do that, you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah, so there's a few other commanders that I think just make you lose if you don't immediately remove them. I think I hate Sir Conrad, Spencer.
Yeah, that's fair.
The more I see it. It just says whenever like anything happens, each opponent takes a damage.
It's also not very fun to keep track of, like, physically. Like, what am I just going to, like... The way that I've ended up, I have it in a deck. It's not the commander, but like it's kind of. I built my Anji deck, which is not built to be like a Sir Conrad as the win con, but Sir Conrad is often the win con.
Yeah, it's so easy to just like play Sir Conrad and just like watch just anything happen.
Yeah, you exile a graveyard or you rebuy some things.
Anything dies, take a damage. Anybody gets milled for anything or like discards a creature, take a damage.
Yeah, play a Mind Crank.
Yeah, Mind Crank, make everyone.
It's not even that
miserable.
Everyone dies. It's like we have to actually like figure out if everyone dies.
Stupidest non-deterministic combo ever.
Yeah.
Turgrid, I just don't know why that card exists.
Yeah,
it's a terrible time.
If you find yourself trying to Dark Ritual out a Turgrid, you probably should not be doing that. You're probably not playing at the most right table this time.
Yeah, try and like turn 2 Dark Ritual or turn 2 or 3 into Tegrid and then play the Dark Deal.
Yeah.
Make everyone wheel away. You know, Dark Deal is actually like a few bucks now just because of
Turgrid. I'm aware. Yep.
Because it's like the only.
It's like the only
wheels that you can do in that.
Yeah.
Yuriko, the Tiger Shadow.
Yuriko is such a dumb card.
It is actually a mistake. Like that's on the record, right? Like.
Yeah, I don't know, but I haven't heard about it, but Yuriko is the kind so Yuriko fits in the kind of category that I think is like cards that put a timer on the game in some sense. And what I mean by that is like with Yuriko it's like, okay, this is going to be like a 5-turn game because everyone's going to start taking 10 or whatever every turn. And I guess I would say like what's the Grixis commander that deals damage to people when they draw cards?
Nekasar.
I feel like Nekasar is kind of that similar thing where it's like if they're allowed to do the thing, it's just like, okay, we've got like 2 turns left in the game, or we're getting comboed off right now, right? Comboed out, and it's like, but Yuriko is so dumb because
Nekasar can be removed.
Yeah. Yuriko, it feels like it's almost like the thing you have to stop them from being able to do is like have any creatures in play, and all their creatures cost 1 or 2.
It's like, oh, what am I reasonably supposed to do? Like kill every 1 mana creature that they play
by turn like 3 or 4.
Yeah, it's just not a Yuriko. Like I don't know if I could ever see somebody playing Yuriko and like think that they have good intentions about like.
Yeah,
they know like the power scaling of command. Like, I mean, maybe it's possible to have a bad Yuriko deck. I mean,
yeah, I guess if you're just flipping up one drops, but like you're still
it's still like never bad, right? Like
No.
it, like make my opponents lose life, draw a card, like because it draws you the
For
card
each
too.
for
like,
each
ninja
that hits them.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You don't have to just kill Yuriko, you have to kill the player because it'll never stop.
yep.
Yeah.
It's a little bit unfortunate that had to exist.
Yeah. Also, Eli, you and I aren't despisers of infinite combos like some people are, but infinite combos can often lead to this kind of a, not building for the experience kind of thing, depending on how they're done or what the what the intent is and the table. But why do you think so many people play infinite combos?
I think it feels like, from my own personal experience, like of getting into Commander and like more experience with Magic, I think it feels really good to discover like a new infinite combo, like 2 or 3 cards that works in your deck, especially like if those cards are like synergistic or like on theme, like, and it just like naturally happens. Like this happened with like my Feather deck. Not that like I discovered like any combos, but I was like, oh, I want to play these good cards already. Like I want to play Kiki-Jiki, I want to play Restoration Angel, because like they're good on theme by themselves.
That's how I like to play. If I have a combo in my deck, it's because I just really like. I think the cards are at least serviceable on their own, or on the on the Kiki-Jiki Restoration Angel side, like they're just pretty good.
Yeah, or
cards.
like the Zealous Conscripts, like
or like Felidar.
That in my Blink deck, like that's so cool to like be able to blink that and like take people's creatures repeatedly.
I've got a Kiki-Jiki, so like Kiki-Jiki like Pestermite kind of combo, right?
Oh yeah.
In my Big Bird deck, I have Kiki-Jiki and Great Oak Guardian.
Yeah,
and it's
very
not
cool.
it's not the most efficient because Great Oak Guardian costs 6 mana, but
it's a good card.
But the thought process, is that like I'm playing kind of like a mini token sub theme, so I can attack with like a bunch of tokens and then give them +2/+2 or whatever, and that's the idea. There.
Or somebody goes to attack you and you have your tapped Big Bird and you flash in the Great Oak Guardian and just completely own them.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I like to do my combos, but I'm not. Yeah, it's. A good friend of the show, Bradley Mucky, kind of put it in this way. He says he's on the record not being a fan of infinite combos, right? Mm-hmm. And he kind of describes it as kind of like an abrupt end to like a stage play or something.
Yeah, as if the game was a movie or it's a story unfolding, and you can see this progression of events and like how things are going, and like you want to see like a real conclusion to it, but then an infinite combo is just like the movie ends. Mm-hmm. It's just over all of a sudden.
And obviously, Eli, I think you and I aren't fully against infinite combos, but I definitely understand that perspective, and I do think that kind of fits into that playing for the experience kind of concept here, where if you're ending a game out of nowhere with a combo, it sometimes doesn't feel like a very satisfying end of the game.
I think I'm coming more around to not liking infinite combos, just because I think another reason they're so popular, like we were talking about earlier, like the idea of like the Commander deck that doesn't do anything or like doesn't present anything to the board. Like I think a lot of people play combo decks because they've realized like that's the best way to win a game of Commander is just look like you're doing nothing, play 2 cards, and all of a sudden win. But I know that that's an effective way to, like, I've seen that kind of deck like so often.
You've done it.
I know that's a thing. And so when I know somebody's playing a combo deck and they have mana and they have cards in their hand, or if they've like tutored once in the game, I know like you're probably looking to combo. I just have to try and kill you, or I have to like be ready to stop you. If I'm not ready to stop you or interact with you, and my only option is to kill you, I just have to kill you.
Yep.
And that doesn't feel good to me, like, because then you kill that person, they're like, why'd you kill me? Like, why'd you attack me? I didn't have anything. And you're like, well, you might have. Like, what are you supposed to do? Show me your hand? Like, you could do that, I guess, but...
I remember a lot of times, it's kind of funny, because it's a weird, like, tightrope you're walking when you're playing in games against players that, I guess not just that they do combo, but, like, they're kind of notorious for comboing, right? And you just have to like kind of have that kind of I suppose like a kind of like a statistical like gauge of where you think they're at. Like I think there's like a 75% chance that they're pretty close to winning through a combo, even though they don't really have any combo pieces in play. You just kind of have to guess, right? You have to be like, my like intuitively and I've done that like back in the day. I remember playing games like those, and I'm like I'm gonna attack you here, and I'm gonna try to kill you, and it's because I think that you're like, I think there's a good chance that you're about to win, and like I might kill someone, then after the game I'd be like, yeah, how close were you to winning? And they'd be like, actually, I had it, or I didn't, or whatever, right? And it's like that's just how it goes sometimes, and yeah, it's a weird tightrope to walk, I guess.
Yeah,
what I'm trying to say.
I'm totally fine with it, with people playing combos, if they're willing to be okay with the fact that that's now like an extra thing to assess.
Yep. I'm perfectly fine, like you were saying, Eli. Like I definitely like, I'll play in a game, right, of combos. I play combos sometimes, right, like all that sort of stuff. Like, but I do think, like you were kind of saying, there's nothing wrong with a good no combo game. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna have some good fun with that too.
I tend to avoid combos lately because I don't ever want to like establish myself as the sort of person. Well, I've worked very hard to undo that, as being seen as somebody who just needs to be killed in a game. Otherwise, everyone will just guarantee lose.
Yeah,
it's hard to establish that reputation, but you really have to be willing to play some less than effective cards. You need to play a little bit less cutthroat. You shouldn't just like always be like, oh, I could kill you, so I just should.
Yeah, I tend not to think in my current years of deck building in Commander. I maybe a more cutthroat Spencer would think about building decks in this way. Like, I've got my commander, I've got like my theme of my deck, I've got my synergy, I've got my ways to draw cards and like get a lot of mana and stuff. And then what's my like win condition, right? Like, I'm gonna what's my like couple combos or something? How am I gonna win once I've got like all my stuff going on, right? And the Spencer of today is more like, I just want to play a bunch of these cards that I like, and I'll win either by, I'll win in some way, whatever. And I don't really, when I say I don't think about like how I'm going to win, that's not true. Like, I'm playing like my Jira deck. Like, I'm like, okay, I'll make sure to put in a couple cards that help me win. Like, I put in like some what's the X and green spell where when you pay X is 10, you get to like get all your creatures +10 and like tutor. It's like something like that, or you play like something stupid like Archetype of Imagination, so you can give all your stuff, whatever. But like, you don't think of it in the way like, I'm gonna go crazy and then I'm gonna play a spell that draw. I'm like playing my Gira deck. I'm gonna put a bunch of big creatures into play, and then I'm gonna draw 20 because I have 20 rhinos in play, and then with that 20 mana I'm gonna draw my Kiki Jiki combo that I have. Like, that's not how I build decks anymore.
People will often say on the subject of combos, it's like, well, game's gotta end, I need a win condition. Personally, I think outside of maybe like mono white or like colorless, you should not want for win conditions. I just say mono white and colorless because if you're not winning with combo, your win condition is pretty much just combat damage.
Yeah.
But every other color, black's got so much loss of life. Red's got direct damage. Blue's got at least 3 different flavors of Laboratory Maniac now.
Yeah. Well, and like I was saying, with that kind of like make 20 rhinos to draw my hand, like, or to draw a bunch of cards, like, why not just win with like haste and attacking people, and maybe I don't even kill everybody, but whatever.
Yeah, like, I guess green's also combat damage, but it's just so good at it.
You just go so big with trample and
stupid fast at it, and like, so it's a lot harder to stop, I think, than like a mono white combat deck.
Green also does the thing where it makes infinite mana pretty easily too. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm gonna stop ranting about that combo stuff. Do you have anything else to say about that topic?
No, just I wish people would just be mindful of how combos come across. Like, I don't think anyone should ever. This is something I'd like to explore more in like maybe a larger video or a podcast. I don't think people should ever like moralize like game actions in Commander, with some exceptions, but you should never be like, oh, you play combos, like, oh, that's so scummy, like that's such like a bad thing, like, oh, you're a combo player, like, oh, I would never do that. It's like, no, it's fine. It's just like,
it just might not be the most fun, but whatever.
Yeah, like you can think it's less fun, like you can be annoyed by it, but like if you're the person playing the combos, like you have to know, like, people should just probably kill you a lot of the time.
Yeah, so besides combos, there's also one other kind of funny idea of playing for the experience. This is less about like
things that lead to a bad time in a different
different way
you might not think of.
Yeah, and that's the first thing we have here is like cognitive load, and what we mean by that is cards that make brain go burr, or are too hard to keep track of. We don't have it written down here, I don't think, but I think the perfect example of a card that requires too much cognitive load was that Space Jace card that they made, where you have to like split up
the sectors.
Yeah, and it's like that card might not be offensive in the power that it does, but it offends me in the amount of brain power and planning and like moving of things the table has to do.
But Spencer, it's like Pleasant Kenobi said, like
it's not that complicated.
If you ever have this complaint about the game, just get smarter, just get good, just be a genius like him. Cognitive load though, like the thing that is starting to upset me is like we loved the MDFC lands.
Yeah.
But now when MDFCs are just like 2 spells on like both sides, like it's just does your throat go raw on the regular playing Commander from just reading, like basically explaining your cards in the simplest possible way to people?
So,
but you have to say so much even doing that.
I feel like I'm tricking my opponents when I play a double-faced card and I don't let them know what the back half does, right? Especially when it's something that's really strong. Yeah. So like we had that new cycle of March of Machine Praetors where they like flip into like a land and then like that land like lets them
they're a creature on the front side and then they turn into a saga on the other side.
Sorry, the other one lands were a different thing.
So not only is it like the other side like is an entirely different thing, but it's like going down the line, it's a list of effects that are going to happen and it's like
you have to like those are game pieces on the board that are like knowledge that I should have. Like I should be able to prepare for all of that if I think it's going to flip, right? Or something. So if someone plays one of those, I kind of have to read the whole thing, right, to make a decision about something.
Right, and I really like the new Elishnorn. It's actually kind of cheap now, so I wanted to pick up a copy for a deck, but just the idea of having to... the front side's relatively simple, but then the back side is like this long saga, and then it also involves the incubate mechanic, which is...
kind of confusing.
Not like the easiest thing to... It's not like super complicated, but it's not a very common mechanic outside of like drafting, probably. Like how often have you seen that in Commander, right? There's like the pre-con, like there's probably a few cards that do it, but like it's such a weird niche one-off single mechanic. Like
and we're not saying you can't play these cards, of course, right? Like, but just be aware that the brain drain that they kind of do, and also it helps if you know what they do and can explain them easily without people having to read them.
That's a big
thing.
Big help. Please never play one of these cards as a foreign card. Like, unless you're, like, willing to, like, if you know exactly what it does and you can, like, pull up, like, an image of it, maybe. Like, I gotta admit, I've got one card in the deck that's a foreign card just because, like, I just, like, found it. And so... But it's a relatively simple card to explain.
What's the classic, the classic thing of the textless cryptic command?
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day. Not that that's be a problem anymore. Like that cryptic command is baby talk. Not even enough words compared to the cards these days.
Personally, I really dislike the initiative mechanic because it's a long box of text with so many different possible paths you can go down.
Yeah. I think you could argue the dungeons in general, but I think you particularly don't like the initiative, right?
Yeah, because you can avoid using the dungeons by just not playing the dungeon, like the venture cards.
Oh, I see.
If you don't want to do that. But if somebody plays the initiative...
It's going to share the initiative with the table.
What are you supposed to do? Not attack that person?
True.
Like, because it gives you good things for doing it, too.
I understand.
So you're incentivized.
So you're saying, like, to venture in the dungeon, you actually have to, like, get a permanent and play that does that or something.
Whereas, like, the Monarch is like, oh, I hit you at the beginning your end step, as it's written on the card. Draw a card.
It's like, okay.
Very simple to explain that.
Yeah. Also, one other thing here is cards that require your opponents to read like other cards or even before them. So cards like Goblin Recruiter. where
Yeah, like search for any number of goblins, put them on top of your library in any order.
and it's like I think I think the way that works is the order they're I don't know if the order they're in is public or private information to the table, but either way, like it still is just a terrible card to play and to play against, and I don't know why that is a card that they ever printed. I mean, it's an old card, but honestly, Goblin Recruiter is probably a card that would probably be, in my opinion, ban-worthy in complex. It's like a silver border card.
How do you feel about Dwarven Recruiter?
Does that do the same thing?
It's the same thing for
Yeah,
dwarves, yeah.
So that I think Honor. I had Acorn those those cards in 2024.
Oh, they're not. Well, the way the game's going, they're more so going the opposite direction.
Yeah,
making the
yeah.
The more complicated, wackier cards.
Not the regular. Right, they're making them black
stickers,
border.
am I right?
Yeah, stickers. Oh, we didn't mention that, but yeah, sticker cards probably fit this category as well. I didn't even write down because it's not on my radar really.
Thank God. I mean, I'd almost forgotten about that, but
yeah,
it's such a wacky, fun game.
So let's get moving here. We got a couple more topics here near the end.
Yeah, I wanted to call us out here because we're throwing a lot of shade, but
we're not innocent.
It's very easy to fall into this trap of failing to consider the experience for other people. And I had mentioned this earlier, and like I've got 2 decks that I mentioned this episode. First one I wanted to call is my Fencing Ace deck. Now, I wanted to just attack people with Fencing Aces, which I thought would be pretty cool. So my friend Jesse has a deck where he has all the Raging Goblins, all the 1-mana 1/1s with haste. So I was like, I'll make a Fencing Ace deck, because I used to love that card. And I wanted to disassemble my old Rogue Rack and Arden Voltron deck, because that deck was, I think, very unfun to play against, because I remember a game we played, Spencer, where we were on turn 3 or so, and we had to go leave and pick up some pizzas, and I felt really bad. I think it was my birthday or something. I was playing this deck, and I turned to you as we're leaving to get things. I'm like, Spencer, I can kill somebody next turn.
Yeah, when we were, you know what you should have done, Eli? We should have waited a little bit longer. You should have just killed me. Then I could have got the pizza, and then we would have come back. And yeah, but we were coming back or whatever from the pizza place.
Because I didn't want to kill you, because I felt so bad, because it was your turn 3. It was my turn 4, because I think I went before you in the turn order.
Yeah.
And I think I had gotten because it wasn't even that crazy of a hand, but then all of a sudden I got Dockside Extortionist, and I had not only Colossus Hammer, but I had the equipment, the Masterwork of Ingenuity that copies an equipment.
Yeah.
And then one other thing, and just was able to one-shot somebody, and I was like, damn.
I think the result was we had Eli kill me.
Yeah, and then just
for the meme.
And then the next turn, I think I just killed the next
other
player,
people.
Next,
yeah.
It was a fast. I was like,
okay, let's go eat some pizza.
But then I was like, the Voltron is not very fun.
Yeah.
And it leads to a bad experience, I thought. So I was like, you know what? I had that deck for a while, and I played it as kind of a mostly higher power, just the deck I would pull out if somebody was being really annoying and I didn't want to play with them. No, that's mean, but so I was like, I'll make the Fencing Ace deck, because in my idiot mind, I figured hitting somebody for between 6 and 20 regular damage is less scary than getting hit for 10 commander damage, because you could just gain the life back. And also, Rogue Rack is just impossible to block, right?
Yeah.
It's got First Strike, Trample, Menace.
Yep, it's dumb.
And I was like, Fencing Ace, they could just block it.
Mm-hmm.
But also, a commander I really love is Jessica, Thrice Reborn, and I want to play that card more often because it's so cool.
And she triples damage.
But the result ends up being, now I've got a creature with double strike, and a way to triple the damage. Well, it turns out 6 times a lot of numbers in Commander is
a lot more numbers,
is close to lethal. You only need 6 power to make that 36 damage.
Yeah,
which is pretty much killing somebody.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, didn't think that one through too well.
Well, guess do you want me to? I'll go for one now.
Yeah,
then.
Go ahead.
My Anji deck, which I referenced earlier in this podcast, also in other podcasts, quite a number of times. Still have it together, but originally I built the deck because the classic Anji thing is World Gorger Dragon combo win right after you cycle through your deck with a bunch of madness creatures. Silly me who thought World Gorger Dragon's stupid. I don't want to just combo and make infinite mana. I want to cycle through all these madness creatures, maybe play some of them, and then I want to like reanimate them from the graveyard with haste and like attack for like 40. That's what I want to do. That's how I want to win. And stupid me ended up, you start building your deck, you start putting in some synergies, and you're like, okay, actually, now the way that my deck is winning is in like this non-deterministic combo with like discard outlet plus like the 5 mana creature that says like when you discard the bone miser, and like great. And like effects that Song of the Damned and Underworld Breach and stuff like that, and it's like, oh wow, I'm just playing like some weird combo deck that doesn't even like combo quickly.
Do you think we both had that problem where like we're so focused on making not making an infinite combo that we just accidentally make something like much more miserable than that?
But I actually super love my Anji deck, even though it is annoying and terrible.
Cool. No, it's really cool
because
the Sir Conrad Mindcrank thing, that's annoying as hell.
Okay, but I do like the Phyresis plus plus like Marauding Cap, or not Marauding Cap, that's a Yu-Gi-Oh card. Glenhorn Buccaneer.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's a good meme, although maybe it's not.
Deck.
But yeah, I don't want to rant about that deck and what I like about it. I'm supposed to tell you what's cringe about it. So we had one more, Eli, you had?
Yeah, my Feather Blink deck. So I built Feather as all just like the 1 mana like blink spells like Cloud Shift and stuff like that, rather than like pump spells, because I was like, I wanted to make a Boros Blink deck. And I was like, man, that could be so good, because like you get like you can do like 4 blinks like a turn rotation.
Yeah, and you get your card back and everything.
Yeah, it's so good, and I built that deck. And this is the case with a lot of blink decks, I think. But you put in your removal in the form of creatures that come in and remove things, right? So what that ends up being with like Feather plus a blink spell plus like a creature like Cavalier of Dawn or like Palace Jailer or something, it's like, oh, if I get to this position, my opponents just can't have non-land permanents in play.
Yeah, or if you allow them to have something, it's because it's wholly irrelevant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's very unfun for people, I think. And then not only did it have that issue, the Feather deck, but like I said earlier, I also had like Restoration Angel and like Kiki Jiki. So the deck was a combination of like, stop my opponents from having anything to do to me until I just play like a 2-card infinite.
Don't forget like Sneak Attack and Dockside.
Yeah, and then I had like Dockside Extortion. Like Dockside Extortion is with like blink spells. Like that is so like disgusting. Like it was probably one of my stronger decks. Like I took it apart I scrapped it for parts.
You can do it kind of with Sneak Attack. You can just kind of like sneak, like on someone's turn or whatever, you sneak in like a Recruiter, and that gets the Dockside. Then you have a ton of mana. You can start blinking your Recruiter, and you can combo off on people's turns and
it's
stuff.
So stupid too, because like that deck, like I could be down to like no cards in hand except for like I have Feather out, I have like a blink spell, and I have a Recruiter.
And all of a sudden,
right? Like it's like when like so it's it was a combination of
as long as you can like go through like a couple people's turns.
Yeah, it was like every like bad idea for like a good experience like for Commander like put into one. So yeah.
Well,
I think we used to play like in stronger circles, and
we did.
Since then, I've dialed it back quite a bit. I think.
Okay, and then my last one I want to talk about here. This is a deck I don't have anymore. So this is what I call my River Hoopu morph deck, and the thought of this was I was like, okay, I think River Hoopu and like Azure Mage and those are like kind of cool, even if they're not really that great. I was like, I want to play a deck that like ramps a lot, play a lot of like green ramp spells, and I want to like hold up my mana and like be able to like act, either do something relevant or activate these 4 mana Thrasios draw card effects, right? And I'm like, okay, what goes all of that? What lets me hold my mana up? Oh, morph cards are really cool because Kadena lets you play the morph cards for free, and you get to draw a card when you play it, so they replace themselves. Then you get to hold up the mana to flip over your, like, you got counterspell morphs and some kill spell ones. You just play the ones that aren't super bad. There's like a package of like 12 morphs or something that are like pretty good cards. And I was like, okay, this sounds okay. But then you realize you're playing like Kadena and River Hoopu and Morph and stuff, and then you're just like playing the deck that wants to play what's the all like Wilderness Reclamation and the
Seedborn Muse.
Seedborn Muse effects, and if you've ever played against a Kadena deck with Seaborn Muse, it's like one of the most miserable experiences possible. They have infinite cards, and they are playing much more than you are.
I remember that was a very good deck. I think I would just scoop to you when that happened.
Like, it's not fun, right? Like it's that Simic thing where they're taking way more game actions.
It's hard to beat.
Yeah, and it's like it's not even like that. I was. Yeah, I just kind of and I found myself never activating the River Hoopu effects because all the other things that I could do at flash speed was just better. So, yeah, that's how that worked out for me, and it wasn't very fun. But well,
now that we've talked about a bunch of stuff that sucks, what commanders do we actually think are okay? What is allowed by us, Spencer? What can we say? What can we sign off on and give people permission to do? Personally, I feel like we kind of talked about this earlier with like the Ixhel sign of Atraxa. People might like gripe and moan about like their cards getting stolen. I actually think if a card's getting stolen from your deck, like it sucks if something gets like stolen from your battlefield, right? Because that's like effectively like worse than like them just using a removal spell on you.
Yeah.
But like somebody stealing something from your deck, it's like you weren't necessarily going to get that anyways.
Yep.
So it's not taking away any card advantage from you. It could be annoying if it's like a combo piece or something, right?
Yeah. If
somebody stole Sean's Direfleet Ravager, I think he'd be kind of annoyed.
I stole the Wizard
Galecaster Colossus.
The Galecaster Colossus. Well, that's not fair though. I used I used Bribery or whatever. That's just like a broken spell. So, but whatever.
Well, even there though, like I think the reason
Can I jump in? I had a game. This was a funny situation where I was like, I was playing that deck and I was looking to like, I was playing with a player that was playing, I don't remember the green and red like werewolf commander that like whenever your werewolves hit someone you draw a card. And like it's like a night and day thing. Mm-hmm. And I was playing my deck that had Expropriate, and I had like a bunch of creatures in play, like a bunch of stuff. I had like 2 Grave Titans, like 10 zombies, and I was like, okay, I have this Bribery. I'm gonna get some like Anthem effect creature or like something, some like a Craterhoof kind of thing, right, from this guy's deck. And the best thing I could find that would like, because I was going for like an Alpha Strike, the best thing I could find to like help my attack was a like red wolf that like gave your attacking creatures +1/+0 or something, and it was really funny. And that's kind of, I don't know, it was a fun experience, I felt. So I don't know, stealing stuff is cool.
Yeah, and like unless you're using like that card to immediately win the game, I think the reason that the steal effects are so good is because it incentivizes you to not kill that person that you stole the thing from.
Exactly.
Until the end of the game, right? Because you'll lose that stuff.
Especially with, like, we mentioned, like, Gonti. Like, you have the card, like, sitting there, like, you don't want to lose access to it.
Yeah, Gonti's a great one. I think that's a really fun deck that, like, incentivizes you to, like, keep as many opponents. Because you don't want to knock out, like, one player and then be like, oh, like, maybe they would have had, like, the better cards here. Because you get stuck with, like a Goblin tribal deck and, like, some other deck that is, like, nothing useful for you. Thada Adel Inquisitor is another deck I have. That's usually pretty fun. Like steal people's all the soul rings and stuff. Not crazy powerful. Like it's fun. There's a new Smeagol card, Smeagol Helpful Guide, that lets you take lands from people's decks. I think you like target a player and then they mill cards until they get a land, and then you get that land into play under your control.
Definitely don't want to kill that player if you're going to lose your lands.
Yeah, definitely, because you get so many lands off it. It's really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the steal effects are actually pretty healthy for Commander. Things that like let you utilize your opponents as a resource. I think that's healthier than just being like, oh, I have this, I'm gonna make my commander like +10/+10 with like a Colossus Hammer and smash someone. Like it's it's not as like cooperative or collaborative. I guess like
it's just like the thing. Well, okay, so another type of card that I think maybe leads to positive play experiences. So despite how we talk about commanders, we're not a fan of commanders that draw a card when you breathe at them, like win, do thing, draw a card. Despite that, I do believe that having a commander that kind of just like allows you to keep playing the game is a good thing. So like a value generating commander that isn't like so overtly threatening, but it does like provide card advantage or something. So like for example, that that werewolf card I was talking about just now that like draws cards when your werewolves hit things. Like it's like, oh, okay, cool. It doesn't like win the game, but it, you know, kind of gets you into more actions. That being said, you don't want to only rely on your commander to draw cards, because then it'll die and you'll have a bad time.
Mm-hmm.
And also, don't do 2-lane. That's
I think my perfect example of a commander like this, one of my favorite commanders, I think it's a commander that is great for building for a good experience, Shadrick Silverquill. Because not only like do you get a resource, like you can like have yourself lose a life and draw a card, so you have like the built-in card draw, but you can give that to somebody else.
Yeah, and it doesn't immediately threaten to do anything that fast. Like it could, like the scary things that Shadrick Silverquill are gonna do is it's gonna, you know, build up a flyer every turn, or it's gonna put a counter on your creatures every turn. It's very slow. It's not slow in like, because obviously like drawing a card, you know, replacing it's great, right? Mm-hmm. But it's slow in becoming like a game-winning threat.
It does have flying and double strike, so I guess you could build Shadrick's like as a Voltron commander if you really wanted to. Like but I think it's more fun if you just do like the kind of like middle of the road value thing. You know what I realized though, with like we were talking about like not just having your commander be your sole source of card advantage. I was looking through my Shadrick's deck and I was like, I've only got like 8 or 9 other card draw spells.
Only 8 or 9.
Yeah, I was like, that's a
little low for me.
I've been skimping on this here.
Well,
relying too much on Shadrick's.
Well, when your commander is reliable card draw the same turn you play it,
yeah,
I feel like it gets better.
Right, that's what I think. It's like if he gets countered, you're kind of like owned, but like even if he gets like killed right away, it's like I played many games where I'll cast it like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, I play it, I draw a card, I'm good with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Chew Lane is definitely a step too far for this category. We should not make any excuses for that. It's it's too many cards, too much mana. Arcades the Strategist, I think, is more my speed. You have to play walls.
You could even argue that goes too far.
It is very good, but at least like like that. Like you were saying, the werewolf.
I don't think it actually goes that far, but
at least that like is tying you to a specific theme that's usually not like anything abusive. It's not just like, oh, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, draw a card.
Yeah, that's a little too generic. Mechanics that utilize or involve your opponents can be fun. So goad, maybe.
Have you heard some people talking about goad being like an unfun mechanic? Like it's like too powerful, or like it's kind of toxic?
Like I understand the idea of like, oh, I'm like I can just never attack this guy if they're like goading every turn or something. But I don't know. I think goad is usually pretty cool and it has some play to it, right? I like that about it.
Yeah, I think maybe it's being used a bit too much lately in the last couple of years. Say so. Like there's been definitely a lot of goad cards, and some of them are really, really strong, but like I guess this is just coming back to that theme of like I'm just too maybe I'm too whipped with commander, where like if somebody's just like goading my creatures, I'm like, oh, thank God they're not just killing me, they're not just comboing me out right now, they're not destroying every permanent I have. At least I get to keep my creatures.
Yeah, I'm just forced to not kill them next turn.
Yeah, so I'm not. So like Grenzo Havoc Razor, that was one of my first mono red commanders. I felt pretty fun. Like the goad mechanic was pretty interesting. It's an interesting commander. Jor Renicus, Shattered One. Saw that on a Shuffle Up and Play episode recently. It's a good one that involves your opponents. It makes them do some cool stuff. Encore, I think, is a great mechanic. Like Encore and Myriad definitely incentivize you to keep all of your opponents in play.
Yeah.
Which I think is generally a good thing for a good game. Because, man, it sucks to have somebody just have to sit there and watch everyone play the game and get knocked out super early.
Yeah, I think Atali might be a bad example of that. Because Atali is one that wants to keep your opponents in play, but it's kind of it might be kind of annoying. Like
it's like that mixed with the Cascade problem.
Yeah, it's like a mix. But maybe that's why that one can slide by and maybe be okay sometimes. I don't know. Maybe don't play it as a commander. Just throw it in a deck. It's an interesting
example of like a perfect combination of two of these things.
I want to say that this is I think by far my favorite theme of a deck to build, and I think that 9 times out of 10 it will be it's pretty hard to make a bad experience out of a deck like this, and that theme is just my quote-unquote mid-range deck. Like, not playing any combos, just playing... I like to call it good cards I want to play deck with, with some sort of sub-theme. So maybe that sub-theme is like... Or maybe a couple sub-themes. So, like, my Jira deck had a very small populate theme, or like a very small go-wide theme, but also it's just like, I'm gonna play these good... I just throw in a freaking Thragtusk because I want to, I throw in a couple other cards.
Yeah, that's my Shadrix deck. Is like, if I've got black and white cards that I have nowhere else to play, I'm like, put them in.
Throw in some creatures that you like. Throw in some removal. Throw in some card draw, some lands, and some spells. Maybe a couple like big splashy things that maybe can win the game or something. Like maybe you throw in a Crackle with power, and you're like, boom, I'm gonna go to turn 10, and now I'm gonna play this and deal 30 to you.
Yeah, and like you said, like those little sub themes that you can be like, oh, this is an idea I had for something, but I don't want to make a whole deck around it. So like my Shadrix deck, I wanted to like play the card Alliance of Arms, where like each player gets a bunch of 1/1s and like give everyone 1/1s and then like kill them and then like use like something like Massacre Worm or like Blood Artist like effects to like make that hurt them.
You got like a 6 or 7 card package in there, kind of like Authority of the Consuls that you get life or whatever when they come in, right? And there you go.
All sorts of like weird stuff that you can do to play around with like a little theme. That like the other theme being like, oh, just creatures with flying, like a bunch of flyers, or like, oh, I've got some random like not like the really good like sword ofs, but I've just got a couple of random sword ofs that I've like picked up,
and you throw in,
oh, my commander's got double strike, so I'll put a sword in there.
Yeah. So I mean those might not be the most like tuned decks, but I think they're quite fun. And if you've never built a deck with no major theme, like built like from the commander, I would recommend it because I think it feels a lot like mid-range, like constructed Magic, like good stuff deck, and I think a good stuff deck in Commander is very fun.
Yeah, the cards I have deck is probably the most fun.
As long as you like play good cards you have, but or at least medium cards you have.
Yeah. As far as like other strategies that lead to more positive play experiences, we're never gonna probably stop saying this, and we talked about it on our removal or like our dies to removal episode about like points of interaction. I just think that decks that just win with like regular combat damage, like not necessarily commander damage, because like we talked about, Voltron can be kind of a bad experience type of deck, but just winning with combat,
and not even necessarily
almost never go wrong.
Not even necessarily like an aggro deck or anything, like just like, I mean, aggro deck is fine to some extent, but like just at some point, you're hitting someone, you're doing a little bit of damage, maybe you attack for 15, and then you build up a little bit, attack for 25, whatever. And it's like eventually people are going to start dropping. It's fun.
I forget who said it, but I've heard this comparison like with we say like winning with like regular combat damage, totally fine, but somebody was saying Craterhoof Behemoth. Mm-hmm. Does that count for the normal combat damage type of thing, or does it count as like a weird type of combo?
I think it kind of does count as a weird combo. It's creatures plus Craterhoof combo, right?
Yeah, because you just like there's like no like regular combat. You attack somebody for like a medium to large amount of damage. They're like, okay, I can block this, I can block that. Maybe if I remove this one card here, maybe I live.
Yeah,
but like there's multiple like. There's things to do in there.
There's multiple combat steps, or maybe even, like let's say someone's at 10 life, like maybe you're attacking them for lethal, but like, and maybe they can't win or they can't like survive, but like, they had to get there somehow, right?
Yeah. Like, whereas if I have 10 creatures in play and I play Craterhoof Behemoth,
the other things that happened earlier didn't really matter.
The way to survive is fog, right? Like.
Or
have fog or like counter the Craterhoof or die. Like there's very few points of interaction that could like stop that combat from just winning the game, right? So
like you were saying, Eli, winning with medium amounts of damage provides the most amounts of interaction of any win condition, I think.
Yeah, and I think mill is also a strategy that like it might not be super effective, like how regular combat probably isn't super effective for like as far as winning games, but like milling people isn't bad at all. Actually, like most of the time, it's going to give your opponent like more things to do, which is why like people say it's bad, because like you mill somebody and like, oh, they're playing like a reanimation deck. You put their giant creature in the graveyard and then they reanimate it.
But one thing that's really nice about mill, I guess, in the sense is like if you're the player playing mill, your opponents shouldn't really be threatened by you until like they're getting to the last legs of their deck. Like the first 50 cards you mill don't really hurt them at all. The first 70 cards don't really hurt them at all, right? Unless you're playing like a mill where like they take damage when they mill or something, right? But like I think that's why mill can be kind of okay in like an experience sort of thing. Like for the experience is because, you know, you're not really like threatening people. You're not really doing anything to them until it's over, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess it could be different depending on like how you play.
Yeah, how
like,
you
kind of like how you technically could play like Voltron, or like I could play the fencing, or like I try to play the fencing ace deck in such a way where I'm like, I'll attack this person, and then I'll attack player B, and then I'll attack player C. Or it's not like I'm just like trying to kill one person. If you're playing a mill deck and you're like, your whole thing, like, which is probably how you should play it, but like you're like, oh, I'm just gonna mill this one person the entire time, and then they might be like, well, I have to try
eventually,
to kill you now.
yeah.
Like, but yeah, it's a slower process, right? So it's not like they're gonna be like, oh, well, I have to like really.
It's not like the first 10 cards mean that they have to be like on the edge of their seat.
Yeah, so it's usually more fair. There's the Bruvac combo, like mill somebody's entire library,
but that's more in the combo sense,
yeah,
right?
So yeah, mill is mostly fine, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, before we close this up, I just want to talk about some decks we made that probably led to some good experiences and made for some fun games. I kind of talked about the Shadrick Silverquill deck already, but you want to talk about, Spencer?
I used to have a what's the name of the commander? The angel that I had.
Oh, Anya,
Angel. Thank you. This was just it was just like my first it was baby's first Boros deck, okay, that I built, and it was just a cards I own deck, and it was just good old fashioned play some stuff, get a Sun Titan in play an Anya, maybe making it destructible somehow.
Well, Anya is also a commander that incentivizes you to leave more opponents alive, which is, I think, one of the biggest complaints against that card is like she's called Merciless Angel,
but she's merciful.
You need to leave at least like 2 opponents alive to get like the most, like, because she gets like +3/+3 for each opponent below half their life, and she gets indestructible if an opponent's below half their life.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
and it was just like a Boros good stuff deck, you know, attacking, maybe some value, and it was just a good experience. I like that.
Yeah, that was a fun deck. That was pretty cool.
And it eventually turned into my Aurelia deck when I tried to power up a little bit and be like, okay, it was back in my early days of playing Boros where I was like, I gotta show what Boros can do a little bit, you know, because it was kind of in that a couple years ago before there was some respect on the Boros name.
Yeah, when I played a lot of Boros, and Spencer's like, no, I gotta show you how it's really done.
Actually, it was more like you showing me what cards were good to put in the deck and stuff, but yeah.
But I have my current possibly favorite deck, which I actually built intentionally, like, to try and make better experiences for people. Like, I've tried really hard with this deck, is Bassandra Battle Seraph, which is such a bad card, honestly. Like, I think it's really cool, but she's a 5-mana 4/4 with flying. She says players can't cast spells during combat, which is really difficult to keep track of because I always want to cast stuff during combat, but it's universal. But more importantly, she says pay a red mana, target creature has to attack this combat if able. So it's just like a Boros Pillow Fort deck, because I wanted to build a deck that's not just all about, like, because I have this problem like playing white or like red, white too.
Play the same cards.
Well, not just that, but like I want to destroy everyone's permanence all the time. I want to wipe the board like every other turn.
I want to play board wipes. I want to get the palace jailers out there. I
have so much anxiety when people have more than like 5 things in play. Like
exactly.
It hurts me.
Things are going to go wrong here.
So I wanted to make a deck where I'm like, you know what? Actually, some board wipes are fine. Like I'll have some as like a safety net, but I want to let people cook. I want to let people do the thing within reason, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's still got, like, some interaction, but I wanted to, like, make this pillow fort deck where I could allow people to have, like, big, dangerous boards and then just, like, kind of build this castle of glass where, like, I mean, it's very fragile, but, like, if somebody destroys one of my pillow fort cards, then they kill me. It's like, oh, well, that happens, but, like, it's just, like, trying to survive as you allow, like, this crazy world to build around you. And it's very stressful. I don't like playing. It's actually very it's a very fun deck, but it's very stressful, and I don't like it sometimes.
Yeah. On that same sense of like building a deck with like a kind of like a limiter in mind, I had a Surok Dragonclaw deck at some point that I had built as kind of like a nudge at one of my friends, because he would always get upset when like his stuff got targeted. And like he got like removal played on him and stuff. So I was like, okay, I'll just make a deck that doesn't play any removal. And it wasn't like a combo deck or anything. It was just like, you know, Surok, some ramp spells, you know, some good creatures I liked, and maybe a couple other, you know, things. But no removal or anything. And I'd be like, see, I didn't remove your stuff, and I'm still hitting you with some damage. It was a good time. It was a good time. Yeah, so I think that everything else that we had there, we've kind of talked about those decks as well before. So, my Jira deck is similar to that. I think that one played a little bit of removal, but less as well. Yeah. So is that what we want to do for this episode? We're kind of coming to the end here.
So I guess what we just want to leave people with is just try to keep the experience in mind. If you're having issues with people targeting you too much, or people complaining about, well, people are always going to complain about stuff, so we can't do anything about that.
Can't help you there.
I just want people to have a better time when they play Commander. So if anything that we said can like get through to people and be like, oh yeah, I should think about that. And like, I would say though, this is something that really, for the most part, I think only works when you have an understanding with the people you're playing with. Like, when it works better with people you know, with your friends, because it will be frustrating for you if you try to do this. If you try to like, it doesn't mean that you have to like nerf yourself. You don't have to like intentionally play worse cards or worse decks or strategies. But like, if you're trying to do these things and then you're playing with people that you feel like have no interest, have no concern as to how like they're affecting your games, that's going to lead to frustration.
Yeah.
So I think this is just a good thing to talk to people about and like try and practice yourself and kind of do that thing of establish yourself as a good actor, as a responsible player that's not just going to do the most degenerate things, because I think Commander's much more fun when we allow ourselves to not break the game.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So yeah, this is probably going to end up being our kind of Christmas special, Spencer. It's possible we might be able to get something else out, but we'll see how it shakes out. So if this is the last episode of the year, I just want to say thank you to everyone for not mass unsubscribing this year.
There was no revolt. Just a small...
We will... I've got some aspirations for stuff to do next year. What about you, Spencer? What are our New Year's resolutions for the podcast, for the channel?
We'll probably put out a couple more videos than this year. That's probably a good first New Year's
Probably
resolution.
a pretty easy resolution. I think that's a good one.
Get Eli to edit some of the videos. That's another one.
Yeah.
That would help.
You're going to get a 2-hour long, like... No, like there's going to be like a single thing removed from it.
Let's go.
I will remove the hate speech from the episode.
That's a shame.
Some of it, at least, you know.
Yeah. That's why we record them for 3 hours, but they're only an hour and a half, because we have so much hate speech to remove.
Yeah, like I hate Pleasant Kenobi. British people in general. No, I don't mean that. Anyways, yeah. Any other final thoughts, Spencer?
No, I just want to say thank you for sticking with us, and enjoy your
everyone have a Merry
winter.
Christmas. Please leave a comment on the video. Make sure to like, subscribe, tell your friends about the podcast. We really appreciate that. And again, thank you everyone for everything, and have a happy holidays from EDHTakes.